The first phase of the Jeffrey Epstein files were going to be put out there. Once they opened the binder, it turns out that all we actually had were a few more of the flight logs. There were some more blacked out bars.
I hope you're hungry for nothing.
What the heck is going on?
I don't think the files still exist. If they do exist, I think there are efforts within the government to suppress that information, and they will go to lengths to do it. People believe that our government exists to protect the powerful. You have to help people believe that in America, accountability is for everyone.
When incompetence is allowed to fester in the workplace, the competent get so frustrated that they all wind up eventually leaving, quitting, and looking for better places of employment. That's unfortunately what seems to be happening right now internally within the Trump Department of Justice. Bombshell Axios report coming in once again. FBI's Dan Bongino clashes with Attorney General Pam Bondi over handling of the Epstein files. According to this article, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino took a day off from work Friday, today, after clashing at the White House with Attorney General Pam Bondi over their handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. 4 sources familiar with the conflict told Axios. It's no surprise to me. Out of the 3 of them, I am the least disappointed with Dan Bongino, even though I do keep continually in my videos replaying old footage of him because he was one of the most passionate ones out there about the Epstein list. And while Dan Bongino has been guilty of sort of going along with his boss in that one interview, the bottom line is out of the 3 of them, Dan Bongino seems to be the most principled one, and it's not surprising to me that he got into an argument with Attorney General Pam Bondi over her incredibly gross mishandling of the Epstein files. I mean, this is the level of incompetence that we had with Attorney General Pam Bondi right here.
Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims, 200. So we have well over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released.
That never happened. Not even at all. She didn't release anything. This happened already after the stupid Phase 1 binders that came out, by the way. Let's not forget Phase 1 being the only phase, as it would turn out. Not to mention, as I played in that video to begin with, Phase 1 was already... This is how stupid this was. The Phase 1 binders were already publicly available information on the internet. Only those binders contained information that they redacted and then gave to those social media influencers. On the internet, however, all that information was publicly available and none of it was redacted. So that moment was literally them calling all those influencers over to the White House, giving them those binders with the Epstein Phase 1 release, and it all just contained information that was available on the internet, only they redacted it. So they were giving them less than what they already knew. This is Pam Bondi's work. This might be the top thing that the American public expected her to perform on, and she has failed abysmally. Completely failed. Her and Cash. Cash needs to resign too. Now more breaking news coming in as I'm filming this. Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino has told people he is considering resigning amid Epstein files fallout. Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino has told people he's considering resigning amid a major clash between the FBI and Justice Department over the continued fallout from the release of the Jeffrey Epstein memo, several sources familiar with the matter told CNN. This comes after a heated confrontation with Attorney General Pam Bondi over the handling of the case earlier this week. The infighting over the case came to a head during a Wednesday meeting, which included Bongino, Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, and White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, sources said. Bongino and Patel were confronted about whether they were behind a story that said the FBI wanted more information released, but was ultimately stymied by the Department of Justice, the sources said. Bongino denied leaking that notion to News Nation, which published the story, a source familiar with the matter told CNN, though he did not sign on to a statement defending the review included in that article. CNN has reached out to Bongino and the FBI for comment. The sources cautioned that Bongino has not made up his mind, and it was possible he would stay in his position. And so there you go. It's just like how I started off the video here. When incompetence is allowed to fester, competent people leave. And Dan Bongino is guilty of going along with Kash Patel on this. He did that in the Fox interview and did confirm with Kash and backed him up that Epstein hung himself. And maybe Epstein did. It's not impossible. And that's not even the biggest point of the matter here to begin with anyway. What we want, the American people want, we want to know names. We want to know those who are guilty, and we know there are people guilty on this. The fact that we're being gaslit and lied to by the administration that's supposed to be the good guys is incredibly sickening. And all of this has come to a head with Pam Bondi in charge of the Department of Justice. And from the start, I was not a fan of hers. She seems to be more appearance-based with everything she does. And I want to point something out right now. Notice the lack from somebody like Bondi, who apparently loves being in front of the camera with a microphone. Where was the press conference after the announcement that the Epstein case was closed? She hasn't had the nerve to go speak in front of the public at all about this. I haven't seen anything come up. Maybe I'm missing it. I'm gonna search it right now. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. Pam Bondi, press conference, Epstein case. Let's see. What's the most recent stuff? It's the cabinet meeting. Yeah. She's only spoken about it for 54 seconds.
I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide.
That's it. That's all we've gotten out of her publicly since closing the Epstein case, perhaps the most important landmark case in the modern age of America, where all of America knows that there's something sinister behind the scenes going on here. No press conferences, not a peep out of her except for 53 seconds in a cabinet meeting when she's sitting next to Rubio and Trump. That's it. That's all we got. Isn't that suspicious? It's almost like she knows what she's doing is wrong and she doesn't want to talk about it at length. She's not trying to field any questions. On top of that, this is coming out now too from metadata. Metadata shows the FBI's raw Jeffrey Epstein prison video was likely modified. And so when it comes to that missing minute, it looks like that might have been intentional after all, and makes you wonder, what are they covering up? The bottom line is, overall, Pam Bondi is not cut out for this job. She may have been a good attorney general for Florida, I believe is where she was, and I know Trump likes her. I know he's a fan of her because he admired her work when he was in the court cases in Florida, I believe is what it was, when the liberals were pressing him with lawfare during the Biden regime. And so it's going to be hard for Trump to make this decision, but ultimately he needs to fire her, or she should do the classy thing and resign. Because at this point, she's been a terrible letdown, hasn't performed up to par, and doesn't seem cut out for the job. She was picked over the attorney Matt Gaetz, who's an absolute loose cannon and savage, with some controversy that comes with him as well. But at this point, people are starting to believe that he would have been doing a better job with this right now, and perhaps a loose cannon in that position when it comes to the Epstein files is exactly what the American public needs. But what are your thoughts and opinions on this? Do you like Pam Bondi? Do you think she should keep her position? Comment down below what you think. Subscribe to American Advocates for more. And give this video a like unless you believe that there is no Epstein list at all, in which case give this video a dislike because clearly you believe that the government always tells us the truth. Thanks for watching.